Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Ask Guidr Roundtable. I'm Lisa Rozier. I'm the Director of Marketing and Sales here at Guidr. And we also have Britt Sharon with us, who is the product owner. So she is the brains behind it. And Britt is also an attorney, for those of you that don't know. And Dave Zampano is also with us, who is one of the founders of Guidr as well. So thank you for joining us today. High level, just to set some expectations for today's conversation. So since we've last connected, there's been a ton of feedback from attorneys that have joined in on the Guidr platform about marketing. So we're going to take a portion of the conversation today to talk about marketing, things that we have found that other attorneys are doing within their market, how they're doing lead generation. And I believe we have a couple guests with us today that will share their perspectives from their law firm and what they're doing and their mindset. In addition, Britt's going to share with you some what we're calling fun facts. So another frequently asked question that keeps coming up is about setting pricing within your platform. So Britt's going to do a share screen and show everyone the functionality. It doesn't matter if you are on the Guidr platform or not. This is a really cool feature that you should be aware of in terms of setting your own pricing. So Britt's going to show you that functionality along with promo codes. And promo codes is something that we'll talk about with regards to the marketing concept as well. So that is a good portion of the time today. And of course, as always, we welcome everyone to participate in the conversation, use your chat feature, raise your hand. And this is a very fluid, fun conversation specifically for everyone that is on this call to get your questions answered with regards to the Guidr platform. So Britt, before I jump in, do you have anything further you would like to add, or Dave?
I'd just love to say, good to be here. Many of you are hiding behind your cameras. You got them shut off. I love to meet people face to face. So if those of you who have your camera off at some point today can undo it, so I get to meet you at least face to face, I'd love to do that. But glad to be here.
And not really anything different from me. The agenda sounds great. And I'm excited to see so many familiar faces and a couple new ones on here.
Okay, great. Thanks, Brett. All right, so let's talk about marketing. So for those of you that have gone through the Guidr onboarding process, and for those of you that are still discovering the Guidr platform and you're deciding if you want to join it, we have a very robust onboarding process. And what complements it is an onboarding guide. So if you have certain questions, you can always reference your documentation. But Britt is, like I said, the product owner, and we have created a process in terms of if you raise your hand and you say, yep, I want to be on the Guidr platform. You work through some paperwork with Britt or Amanda, and then you get what we call your unique URL, which is specific to your law firm and your platform on Guidr. And then you jump over to our marketing team. So Leslie's on screen, you can see Leslie, but Leslie is the one that will talk to you about all the great marketing materials that we've created for Guidr thus far. We're calling it the Guidr Marketing Toolkit. So in there's a plethora of tools that you can use at your fingertips, from press releases, content for any type of media that you would like, digital marketing efforts, design layouts, and we continue to build it. We're working on individual campaigns, and as they are built, we will release them into the marketing toolkit. And this is all part of your platform. But one of the key things about bringing Guidr to market is having a path and plan of how you're going to implement it. It's not like the Field of Dreams movie where you build it, they will come. We absolutely are going to help you build it. We will help you go through the process of getting it on your website, but you have to have some sort of a marketing plan in order to get it out to the general public. So with that being said, I see Brianna, you're with us. Hi, and Brianna is one of our member law firms. So Bri's going to share some of her experiences with our attendees from a law firm perspective. She is the law firm leader in her law firm. And one thing that I want to make sure is you have a path and plan, and you can decide if you're going to do it yourself or if you're going to have someone do it for you. But here are some things that we've been seeing in the past month of law firms that have been onboarding with Guidr. And Britt, please chime in when you have a moment, because I know you're actively working with law firms, and Leslie, you as well. So one is relationships. We have seen a ton of law firms that when they're getting ready to onboard with Guidr, they're like, this is exactly how I'm going to implement it. I have great synergistic relationships with financial advisors, and I plan on going and bringing this to them and showing, okay, you have clients that need the basic documents. Well, now you can look like the hero. You can do it while you're sitting in your office with them. And oh, by the way, here's a promo code for your clients so they get special pricing. So that's one thing that we've been seeing. We've also been seeing that it's tapped open a whole entire new market in terms of going into businesses and doing like what we're calling a lunch and learn. You go into the businesses, you work with the HR director, and you ask to bring in lunch and do a 30-minute presentation, and then you start walking the attendees through the platform. And even if they get through the first step of onboarding on the platform, you've already captured all of that data. So now you got technology nurture it for you. So that's one new avenue that we've been seeing going into car dealerships. What else have we seen? Car dealerships. We've seen radio stations. We've seen
local unions.
Local unions.
Places that are what I think tend to be younger people who work a lot or who work weird hours. So like a firehouse or a police department or a hospital. Because, you know, those workers, there might be overnight workers or stuff. They are sleeping during the day, they're working during night. They can't come to you in the traditional way. You know, just at least either you're coming up with business cards and leaving them with the hospitals or somewhere that just makes it a little easier for people who have a tougher time getting into the traditional meeting with you.
Absolutely. So those are some B2B type of relationship synergistics that we've been seeing. We've also seen some of our partners that have a media presence either through a radio show or doing print advertising, or they've been doing television advertising, and they just work with their media partners to issue a press release to get the word out there. And that templatized press release is in your marketing toolkit, and you can tweak it to your style. And we've been encouraging it to be a topic of conversation. One of the things that we've gotten pushback from is, well, I don't want to confuse the market. I don't want them to stop coming and seeing me. I don't want them to now go to technology. And that kind of comes to mindset. We have to make sure that everybody is looking at Guidr as an additional tool within their firm that can capitalize on hitting a specific market that maybe isn't the one that's sitting in front of you that wants to come in and do the traditional planning.
You know, Lisa, one of the things that's hit me, I've been using Guidr myself. I know I've found that people call, and I'm going to share two stories that I think really go to the mindset of how Guidr is different. And I got to tell you, it's even different than I thought it was going to be when I originally kind of thought up the concept. The first thing that happened was I realized there was a number of people, real story, woman calls me up, I've known her for years. She says, Dave, I need to get my estate plan done. So I do my normal thing. I say, call the office, they'll help you. So she calls the office, and you know, they do their normal thing. They pitch her, they get her into a workshop, they want to do all these things. And she doesn't go, and she hangs up and doesn't schedule anything. So it's kind of weird. And then a couple months goes by, she calls me. So finally she sends me like this SOS text, and she says it really simply. She says, Dave, can we just cut through all this crap and just get me my will, healthcare proxy, power of attorney? I thought, boy, that's a strange comment. So I need to talk to her. So I call her up, and she tells me, yeah, I called your office. They want me to come to this workshop. Look, I just want a will, healthcare proxy, power of attorney. And so what I did was I said, well, Joan, let me ask you a couple questions. Let's have a conversation. She goes, I just want everything to go to my granddaughter. I said, okay, what do you have? She says, well, I said, do you have any money in banks? No, I got 20,000 in the bank account. Okay, what about retirement accounts? My husband's got about $50,000 in a retirement account. I asked a few simple questions, and guess what? This woman didn't need to go to a workshop. She didn't need to do all these things. She just needed a will, healthcare proxy, power of attorney. So I said, Joan, you know what? I tell you what, You want me to show you how simple I can make it? Go to Guidr or go to our website and hit on the Guidr button. And I said, you could do it in 30 minutes. Now, one thing, Joan, I'm going to highly recommend you check the option for an in-office review and signing. Why, Joan? Because that way you can make sure that everything you put in came out the way you wanted. And I said, you can make sure that you sign it properly, because that's how most things fail. And I said, also in that review, the attorneys will be able to ask you a couple different questions to see if there's any outliers that we haven't considered. Great. She said, no problem. And off to the races she goes. And then I said, you know what, Joan, I do want one other favor. Put in this discount code. And I gave her my discount code because I want to start tracking how many people I'm actually sending into the app. What's my lesson here? This is the third conversation I've had. Literally, a friend of mine of 50 years calls me and says, I need to do this Zump. I need to do a will health by the power of attorney. So we put him on Guidr. He goes, well, I'm not good with the computer, so I'm going to have my kids help me. Bam, number two. My guy that owns my diner, I eat it every morning. Dave, I really need to do something. Bam, Guidr. Like we've been trained over the years to get everybody into our offices, get them in, put them through the process, which is appropriate. It's not appropriate for most of the people out there though. And that's the thing I'm finding with Guidr. Guidr is a different approach. I'm calling it, it's really occurring to me as something very different now than what I thought. I thought it was an estate planning, way to provide our services. What I'm really finding that it is, are you ready? Is a lead generator that pays you. Normally you have to pay for lead generation. This is a lead generation that pays you. So in other words, the client comes in through Guidr, you've already been paid by them, and they've given you all their information that you're trying to seek in those initial meetings. From there, we then can market to them, get them to do the estate plan advisor, do different things to see if we can upsell them in other services. So I'm really seeing Guidr as a lead generation tool that pays you. And then from there, really take each one of these people and then in those in-office meetings, get to know them, get that personal relationship and see if there's any relatives and things of that nature.
And I think, Dave, it goes back to mindset as well. One thing that we have noticed is, and Bree, maybe you can share some insight from your perspective, but to understand that this is an and, it's not a changing your whole entire law firm model. So Bree, I didn't know if you responded. So Tom, you put in the chat, COVID has made many people who have never been online comfortable with technology. Absolutely has pushed people. It surprises me how many people still want to see me in person. Zoom and tech methods are not for everyone. Tech will never fully replace in-person meetings. I couldn't agree more. Bree, you responded.
Yeah, so what we found by instituting Guidr is the people that want to come and meet with the attorneys face-to-face will always want to meet with the attorneys face-to-face, and our client service process is strong enough to be able to look at the ones that, have the more assets. Yeah, they probably need to come in and see us the traditional way. By offering Guidr, we've now opened ourselves up to the 18 plus and on. So we even do after death. So we now, by offering Guidr, have a product or a service for everyone. So before, when people are like, I don't know if I'm old enough to do estate planning. Well, everyone needs a will, healthcare proxy, power of attorney from the time they turn 18. So now we've just opened ourselves up to a whole new demographic and multiple ways to work with people based on their comfort level. So we've just seen that it's given me more talking points for people of my age group who are like, yeah, you work for an estate planner, but I don't need that yet. Or I just got married. Well, yeah, you do. And here's how you go and use it. Things like that.
And don't forget, you have your promo codes now for tracking. Yes, question.
So, I will admit when we first started rolling on Guidr, I was a bit skeptical, about the whole, well, how are we going to make this work? But I really have come around and, I started thinking about it. It's like we're saying, all these younger people need this basic planning. And I started thinking in the last few years, I've really been sort of existing clients and new clients, when they have the, the 18 to 25-year-old college age kids, I've been saying, well, let's do POAs and healthcare directives for them at least, and charging them like an extra $200 for that. So now, boom, can just get those kids and grandkids into Guidr, and they're on their phone. They love it. They tell two friends. They too tell, I think it could really be bonkers.
And you just made them sticky, right? So everybody that always says, I have the older generation, but I need to keep filling my pipeline. And how do I establish a relationship or have the like you said, the kids or the grandkids now be clients of mine? And that's exactly the mindset
I thought of another place to go market to, like all these little brew pubs and microbreweries, all those kids that work at those places.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a member that is huge in theater, and he's gone to his network of people within that community and really capitalized in that. So you're absolutely right. And the other thing that that we just did for Breeze Law Firm is on the back of everyone's business card, there it's promoting Guidr, and it's 3 easy steps. This is what you do. And the final thing that says, welcome to our family, to keep the technology and personalization.
I've always wanted a billboard too, so maybe I'll do a billboard.
Yeah, there's absolute billboards in your marketing toolkit. There's like 6 or 7 different options, but just to let you know what we're working on in the background, our goal, and I say this is a goal, is for each quarter to roll out a specific targeted campaign. So think of like Geico. There's Geico overall, and then you got your individual Geico commercials that might talk to a certain demographic. So for instance, we want to do the first-time home buyer, just had a baby, just got married. And this is where these are the discussions, because I'm huge in R&D. Give me your ideas. And if you're saying I'm going after microbreweries, then we can get really creative about, pulling in the creative concept of going to a microbrewery and having that type of beer and, drink a beer and plan for your life, and get protected, that kind of thing.
Just to add on one thing to what David was saying. So this has been, and maybe Dave, cover your ears, because it's always with so I'm currently 25 weeks pregnant. My friends right now are all having their first or second kid. They're all just buying their house. My husband is a teacher, and all the teachers are, under 40. And they would come to me, oh, you're an estate planning attorney. Can you help me do my plan? And I was always a little bit like, oh, do I refer them to the law firm? Because I know how much it costs to do this, and I know they don't really have it right now, but they need something, and I don't want to do it just myself. I don't have the time. Do I waste one of the attorney's time? This has been the perfect thing, the in-between, okay, they can get their stuff done for a reasonable price that I don't feel bad about. This is it's the cheaper option. And it's still going to the law firm. So it's not taking any time out of me, you know what I mean? So it's been wonderful as a referral tool for at least, my age group, 30s, early 40s, don't quite have the nest egg, that 70 somethings have.
Yeah. Thanks, Brett.
And it's, it's like when I've been doing the POAs and healthcare directives for those kids and grandkids, I'm just kind of doing it as, an add-on. And obviously, it's kind of, in terms of making money off of it, it's not really a money maker. So being able to use Guidr for those people will work really great.
I just got a couple ideas just listening to this group. Lisa, when you go out to restaurants and they have these billboards and everybody, pins their business card?
Yep, still happens, even in the barber shop for my boys.
But got a little Guidr card with our law firm name and Guidr, do your will, and then put on there a code, discount code, enter discount code for 10%. And then put in the discount code, like where you left. Like, so say it's Deb's Cafe, DC 10, right, would be the code. Then you know where it's coming from, right? Now I thought about Brittany or whoever was just talking about the realtor. Go to a real estate firm and say, listen, we're going to give any of your clients a discount. Here's your discount code, ABC Realty 10, ABCR 10, and you provide this card. Here's a card, Will Healthcare Proxy Power of Attorney. And put your code in, give this out to all your people that you're selling houses for. I mean, there's no limit on I think how we can really simplify this down. The beautiful part is, let me share a concept that goes back to my older days, and it's true relevant today in everything we do. There's 3 business models in professional services, okay? The first business model is commodity model, which is fast, cheap, easy, quick, right? The second one is more the experienced practitioner. That's where most of us are, where people will go to you because you have a little more experience. It's a niche, you have more experience in it. People are always willing to pay a little bit more for that. Not a ton, but they'll pay more to get it from that experience. And then there's what's called the brain surgeon, right? We always use the example of O.J. Simpson. When he was arrested for murder, he didn't say, hey, does anybody know a good lawyer I can get a good price on? He said, I want the best, right? Now, what we don't realize is each one of those models requires a different operation. It requires a different marketing. And so I want to focus on the marketing. When you're marketing a commodity model, which Guidr is commodity model. It's low, cheap, fast, easy, and promote discounts. It's about, don't worry about don't try and make the home run on your Guidr platform. Make the home run because you're making money while you're sleeping anyway. So these are people you would not otherwise get. You're still going to get the people who are going into nursing homes and all that. That can't happen online. But these, you're going to get access. I read a recent statistic. Are you ready for this? There's more millennials than there are boomers, and even Gen Xers. So when you think about target markets, we're generally sitting in the Gen Xer. I'm not Gen Xers. Gen X comes after boomers, right? So Gen X generation, 65 to 80, those folks, there's a whole bunch of those. And then you got the millennials from 80 beyond. They outnumber the Gen Xers and the boomers. So this is really what this is promoting to, and then they will mature into or upgrade into other clients, or you get relationships. They have parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, etc. That then you become that relationship, and they're like, hey, mom, grandma, this place is easy to work with. Why don't we do it, and I'll help you, kind of thing. So I think that's the new wave I'm seeing, that really Guidr is providing a lot more insight than, like I said, I think it's more marketing, believe it or not, than it is lawyering. Now I know it is lawyering, so I'm not taking that away. But I think this is, I've really changed my perspective, and I see it as a lead generator for our law firms.
So Dave, I want to just jump in, just in transition a little bit. I noticed that there was some comments in the chat feature about going to a hospital and how can you get in front of them if they're, in the hallways helping people, and Britt came back with a great idea. So the other thing that my observation, and Leslie can probably back me up, and so can Britt. One thing that we have noticed with onboarding is your website. And there's been some roadblocks that have been happening. So some free advice. I need you to ask yourself a couple questions about your current website. Forget about Guidr. And the reason, I'll tell you the reason why. But number one, if you have a law firm website, do you own your domain name? If you do, great. If you don't, you need to. It's very easy to create a GoDaddy account and ask your webmaster to transfer your domain name into your own personal GoDaddy account. You need to own it. Any webmaster that is secure with themselves will say, okay, not a problem. Number one. Number two, if you need to know how your website is built. So a lot of common websites right now are built in a content management system. Very popular template called WordPress, probably the best performing content management system that's out there right now for a plethora of reasons. If your website is built in a WordPress content management system, that's great. What we are coming across is a lot of law firms' websites are built in what's called a proprietary CMS. And that is the website company has custom coded a website template and has literally held you hostage in terms of ever wanting to add to the site, getting people into the site that aren't within their team. And the next level that we're noticing is if it comes with content, you don't own that content. So I need you to go back when it comes to your website. You need to find out, A, do you own your website? B, how's it built? And C, what's your access level to it? And do you own that content? Though that's just a side note, because we've been seeing a ton of roadblocks in that in particular. Any functioning, trustworthy webmaster should be able to give you editor access into your website to get certain things done. So with that being said, your website's really important because we're directing everybody to Guidr. So you need to make sure that your website is functioning properly. It's giving that great user end experience. And Britt, off of your suggestion with the videos, you can always integrate videos into your website, and you can slap a special code on it for private access. So like you were saying, produce a video and offer it to them, keep it within your website, right? You can create a really nice workshop presentation, have it embedded into your website that talks about Guidr, and then at the end of the presentation, the promo code comes up. So there's a lot of different creative ways that we could do this. But my foundation thing is just make sure you have control of your website. How does Squarespace compare to WordPress as far as being held hostage? I know getting to see the code is hard, but they have a ton of keyword capabilities and an opportunity to schedule blog posts. So Squarespace is probably another CMS type of platform. Leslie, I don't know if you can speak to that, but yes, the type of universal content management system platforms is the kind of website that you want. WordPress, Squarespace, Joomla. What are some other popular platforms? I'm drawing a blank on that. Those are the kind of questions. And if anybody on this call has questions about your website or need clarifying, some clarification,
I think for Julie, she and I have talked. It's her site is she owns that. She doesn't even have trouble with Squarespace. It's her own. She has all the login. She's building it. It's almost a template maker like Wix.
Oh, okay, perfect. So that's just my little side note. Now it's bottom of the hour, 10:30. We are gonna do a couple share screens if we're good to move on. If anybody has any further marketing questions.
I just want to highlight one thing. Tom had posted twice. I don't know if he intended to post twice, but his website's out of date a little bit. Tom, one of the things that's really cool, I don't know if you saw that LWP rolled out January 1, its own marketing support department now, where it will help do a complete analysis of websites. It will help give you a complete analysis of all your marketing that you're doing. And actually, they have what's called a 1-year marketing strategy, where you can say, because some people say, well, do I spend money on website first? Do I spend money on brochures, on logos, on branding? So they have a whole program to help you decide, okay, what do I want to do with my marketing? Where does the website fit in? Other things fit in, because everybody's got a budget, right? You can't do everything all at the same time. So they have this 1-year marketing strategy program that helps you first define, just take a step back and say, all right, what is my marketing strategy, short-term, medium-term, and long-term? And then what are my budgets? And then secondly, they help you implement it to the extent you want, or people are free to go and implement it with any marketing from anywhere, but they also have the marketing services to do it to the extent you'd be happy with those. So anyone who's looking at that, LWP is excited that they have that to offer now. And talk to any of them, and they'll tell you how that works. But that, because I know you posted that, Tom, twice. I don't know if you had any specific question other than that, but
I didn't. I meant to repost another comment, and the same one came out twice.
Oh.
But thank you for addressing it. They did offer to look at my website, and I didn't do it right away. It's because it's who I am.
well,
but I will get out.
time. That says that you got to do it within your structure.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you for the reminder, and I will be on that.
Okay, Tom, what was the second question that you put in there that you forgot to hit, or was it answered?
It was just a comment about doctors and hospitals. They all eat breakfast. I have a brother who's a radiologist, and he doesn't like being bothered by drug reps. But when they supply breakfast, he goes and talks to them. A box of donuts goes a long way to people who are busy and can't run out for. They have to get there. They have to be there all day. Lunch is great, but not everybody can take lunch. They all are at some sort of a staffing in the morning. This is a tip from an insider pro who told me this is what you need to do. So
that's what I recommend to people. I've not yet done it myself.
Breakfast before business. Love it.
It's important.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so let's jump into some screen shares. So one of the other questions that has been coming up often the past month is pricing structure. So we're just going to remind you and show you a share screen how everyone is in control of your own price points. And Britt's just going to give you a quick refresher on how to change your pricing. And also she's going to show you how to do your promo codes. I know that we've had a lot of great conversations and we've been talking about promo codes today. So I think it's great that Britt will share her screen and walk us through the process again, just as a friendly reminder. And again, if you have questions, please use your chat feature or raise your hand.
Sure.
All you, Britt.
Okay, good. I am going to share my screen here. Let me pick the right one. Well, actually, I could just share my desktop. So yes, like Lisa said, I'm going to have this open. It's just through your attorney dashboard. And what we're going to do is, oh, hold on, I'm working on stuff here. Here we go. So when you log in, this is what the first page you would see. So you're an administrator, meaning you're the one who is, when you log in, this is what you see. The workflows that are requiring action come right to the top, and all of your workflows are down here, but not to focus on that right now. To get to the pricing, it's under this product setup up here. So you hit product setup, you'll see your essentials document. So that healthcare directive, your power of attorney, and your will. But I want to point you to a new section also. So this comes along with the estate plan advisor. So there are also, besides the standalone products you saw on the first page, there are plans. And the plans are, okay, the essential documents, we know a will, healthcare proxy, power of attorney, all lumped together, you can set your pricing. And now you'll see there's also the essential documents with the revocable trust upgrade and essential documents with an irrevocable trust upgrade. Do not panic. Guidr is not generating trust documents right now. What it is generating is still the essentials, and then they're being directed to you to do a more traditional meeting for that revocable or irrevocable trust. You still should set your pricing in here because it does show up. So when you click on either of these, you can see you go in here, product or for revocable or irrevocable trust. This is going to show you, the headings might be a little confusing. So we did add help text here about what this you're actually setting a price for. So regular price is for a single person to do their essentials plan with you, $227. For a couple, $339. They get a little bit of a discount. It's not quite double. That's usually how people structure their fees. Signing price, what a single person would come in to sign in your office, what a married couple would come in to sign in your office. And then this says external price. And this is what you would be charging for an irrevocable trust. This is in addition to what they're paying for their will, healthcare proxy, power of attorney. So this would be just for the trust document. And this is not charged through Guidr. This is something that you would collect in your firm. But with the estate plan advisor, the way it comes up is it shows, this plan, this essential documents with irrevocable trust upgrade, it shows the total and it says $227 paid online, breaks it all down for them, and then says this much would be what you would pay in the office if you were to come in and do a trust. You can set this.
Can I make a comment on that? Because this came up in a question on another forum that we held is, well, why would I my trust that I paid $2,500 or $3,500 when they come in the office, why would I do it for $1,495? Here's why. For those of you in the LWP system, we have a base trust system and an enhanced trust system. The first thing you have to appreciate is none of this is related to an enhanced trust system. This is base trust, what I would call the boilerplate trust, which basically says upon death, it gets distributed out to family members and it's a trust. Remember also that the information that the client enters in the interview to complete the will, healthcare proxy, and power of attorney is 99%, if not 100%, of what you need to complete the base or simple trust. It's literally, if you've ever done a base trust, even the template that we use, it's literally a 10 or 15-minute interview in a meeting. So here, why this is still worthwhile to you is by the virtue of how they answered the will, you actually have all of the answers to the simple trust that's in this price. And then obviously you have the opportunity to upsell them to add-ons like post-death trust for children, things of that nature. So just a concept to remember about pricing, you can literally crank out this base trust with little to no work as the attorney. Your drafting department would take the answer file from the wills, healthcare proxy and power of attorney, and then actually basically the will, and transport it in. So that's just something to think about. And any additional questions that are missing, you would then get in those in-office meetings.
And Dave, I have one more thing that I would like you to talk about, but I just do want to reiterate, you guys can set this to be whatever you want it to be. When we do initially set up your Guidr page, we have defaulted prices just so it's not blank and that your page shows up as if it's, non-functional or something. So these are the defaulted prices. For an irrevocable trust was $14.95. For a revocable is $9.95. And Dave, what I want you to speak to, again, we've said it a couple times, mindset on this. Why am I charging $14.95? So in addition to, you have most of the answers already, but that reaching out to a demographic that would not have come to you otherwise, like Brianna said, those traditional clients are still going to come into your office. So what is the value of charging? Again, you can set whatever you want, but what is your thoughts on charging this much for an irrevocable trust?
So I'm going to be honest. I'm going to come out on the radical side because it goes to my business sense. Remember, we're a commodity model. The truth is there are law firms all over the place. Look, I'm in New York and I'm licensed in Florida. When I'm in Florida, there are firms advertising $500 trust, $700 trust. You mean to tell me you can't do a trust online digitally that's taking none of your time for those prices that law firms are doing it where they're having people come in the office? So I believe, again, these are concepts that are fundamental. Do you ever go into a grocery store and there's a big sale on something? You know what they call those? Lost leaders. They're lost leaders. They're priced low to get you in to buy something because buying creates the relationship. So for me, I'm more inclined to go with lower pricing and then upsell them when they come in to options like, hey, you can do this, this, and this. When you explain it to people, because again, here's the key thing you said, Brittany, I want to repeat it because I don't know if people caught it. The key thing here is the website Guidr is enrolling the consumer into the trust plan because they know the price, but it's not doing any of the trust plan. That's an in-office meeting. So when they're coming in to sign their document, then you're having a conversation about the basic documents. And again, the estate plan advisor, I see someone's asking a question about that. That will give you the insights of what's important to them. And then it's very easy to say, look, you said this and this was important. This basic trust doesn't do that, but we can do that with this, this, and this, and the price would be X. But the beautiful part is, even if you're upgrading the trust to not the full enhanced, but a couple enhanced provisions, remember how much time and energy you save because this entire client process went through the digital platform, not through your client services people, not through meetings and follow-ups and this and that it was really done most of it digitally. So it's really creating a massive efficiency that enables you to be a commodity priced model. But again, here's the warning. Do not commoditize your other practice. Appreciate and separate those people that need to come in and do need the guidance and counseling. We don't even talk Guidr prices when we're talking to them. That's a wholly different market. And you continue to go out and market those strategies to those places that give you your traditional clients. Don't convert your traditional clients into Guidr. Use Guidr to convert non-clients or people you're not getting where you're currently marketing. That's why I said here, this Guidr platform to me is a marketing lead generator. It's not meant to push your upper people down. It's meant to bring out and go out and commoditize, go out at a low price to get the people who are price driven and who are commodity model. They really want quick, easy, simple.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah. So like I said, this is really not, these will be the pre-filled prices when you initially set up your Guidr page, but you guys can change these to whatever you want them to be. You can update them all the time. The other thing I just want to touch on really quick is the promo codes that we've been talking about. So we're going to do, if we're going from the homepage, just to keep it simple. So you log in. You're again going to go to product setup and it's this little discounts tab right here. So you'll see here, you can have multiple active promo codes. you have to actually type in whatever you want it to be and the discount amount. So you could say Roundtable discount, Roundtable 2022, and you guys get a 15% discount. You just hit set. So now you can hand this code out to anybody. It'll give them 15% off when they go to pay. Like I said, you can have multiple active at the same time, which is really nice. And it's really, really useful with those financial advisors and a good way to track them. So you would see when your client pays, you can see that they've used a promo code. So maybe your favorite financial advisor, Joe Flintstone, Joe Smith, 2022, great, 10% off. So now every time you can say, oh, look, I saw Joe Smith 2022 come through here a bunch of times. That's great, wonderful. Thanks so much for those referrals. It's just a nice way to keep track of who's referring you and where it's coming from. So, oh, and you can disable them at any time. So, okay, Joe, that was for 2 months promo. Okay, we're just going to close this out. We want to remove it. Revoke that promo code. It'll no longer be active. That's that. And open to conversation on any of these things. If you guys have, I'm just now checking the chat here because it was hidden while I was sharing my screen, but. Here we go, let's see. Okay, so back to Tim Murray. Do you have to change the will to a pour over? So yes, I guess technically you would, and I don't know, Dave, if you want to speak to that too, but.
My philosophy is this, you ready? It's what I call throwaway. So my thing is get them to do the online documents. It's so critical. Get them to do the will, healthcare, proxy, power of attorney. When later you upsell them or don't upsell them, whatever, get the online documents. When you come into the office and they opt for a trust plan, you then explain, okay, great. In the trust plan at no extra charge, we're going to give you a new will because what this will does is it accommodates the trust. And now it makes it like, oh, okay, great. So now they're even getting an update to their will already. But I always say, get the will, healthcare, proxy, power of attorney done in Guidr. We don't know how long it's going to take them to get the trust done. We don't know how quickly they're going to come back in or not come back in. And it is absolutely no cost to you to generate 2 documents versus 1 when you're generating that trust. So for me, it's an accommodation and I don't really address it. That's complex for us, not them. We just simply say, great, we have a new will we've done for you and here's the reason why. But yeah, there's a quick answer to how I address that.
Thanks. I see Julie. Oh, wait, did I skip one here?
Yeah, there's
Bill
one.
says when we went to the Guidr homepage, we couldn't get the married option. The first screen was single option, unmarried.
Just really quick, Bill, who are you? Bill who? Oh.
He's muted, it seems.
He is unmuted, but I don't know.
Must not be working.
Yeah.
And this might be, so without seeing it, I'm not positive, but this could be, so when you sign in, it will ask, are you single or married? If you fill out single, it'll take you through a single interview. If you say married, it will add an option there that says, do you want to add documents for your spouse? So I think it depends on what you mean, the Guidr homepage, and Bill, whoever you are, if you want to, we can do a screen share something sometime too, and I can take a look if I can replicate that problem. Julie asked about the estate plan advisor tool. I think I could show this. I mean, it is up and running right now. So the estate plan advisor is out there in production. I just got to make sure I'm signed into a place where I can see it because I have a bunch of different things I could be signed into. I can quickly show that just so you can see what the pricing page looks like. So I don't want to really focus too much on the questions or anything. You'll see I'll fly through it. But what this looks like, so this would be, there's a couple different ways to get in here. So this is a fake development page. This looks like Dave's page. So this is what your client would see. They could say, okay, I know I only need a power of attorney. I'm only here for a healthcare directive. But now you'll also see this other option about the estate plan advisor. it's a great start to do your essentials, but maybe you don't have all the protection you need. So if they hit select, it's just going to ask some really basic questions. It gives them the warning, please answer this as accurately as possible. I always put my real birthday in so you guys can send me presents. 4/19. I just said no, not married, but it does change the questions and it will ask kind of for both. If you say yes or no, it asks, you know, these are like our LWP system where the more questions you answer, the more it gives back to you. So let me just fly through here a little bit. Just so you can get to, I want to show the pricing page, prepaid funeral, long-term care, and then a series of importance questions. How important is it to establish your rules? How important is it to do this? So I believe by answering these this way, just a combination of this, I should get an irrevocable recommendation, but we'll see. Maybe not.
Mike asked the question, what incentive is there for someone to get upgrades if they've already done anything online? There's no incentive. They're not thinking they need upgrades. That's our job, Mike, where we then show them, oh, you picked some great choices. But I noticed it's why it's good to get them to the estate plan advisor, because it indicates some of the things that were more important to them. And you say, look, I noticed this was important, that was important. These basic documents don't do that, but we can add that to your current plan to accomplish A, B, and C. So it's always easier to upsell than to get. That's why I always say, get them to get the initial plan done and then have a conversation about what it does. Congratulations. Just so you know, here's what it doesn't do if these are things of interest you may want to address. That's how I've always done that.
And just to point to the pricing here, I know this is kind of small. Like, I suppose I could zoom in a little bit. So this is what it would look like to your client. So essential documents, they can choose any one of these, but we have at least highlighted a plan and said, based on your answers, here's what we're recommending. And like I said, it does list the full price, but explains to them only this $227, that essentials plan, whatever you set your price to be, is collected online. And then this is the price for that irrevocable trust collected at your attorney meeting. So they're not charged through Guidr that full amount. I saw Julie, you also asked about explaining what it does and doesn't do. So there are little explainers with each of these, what an irrevocable trust does to protect your assets. You need an irrevocable trust. Oh, sorry. And then up here, this explanation of the whole plan, it includes the essentials documents online and the irrevocable trust to be executed with your attorney. So it does kind of lay out, these are the different, you know, what to expect, set the expectations. The only other thing on this page worth highlighting is these add-ons. So the way I answered the questions, it didn't recommend any. But if I had said, I have children who are underage and it is important for me to protect them, this would be toggled on. And that's the recommendation, is to add that underage trust or a disabled trust if I have disabled beneficiaries I want to protect. And these are different based on your state. So if you don't have monitors in your power of attorney, that might not be there as an option. And then it lays out their pricing. It shows them $17.22, but you're not paying for this right now. This would be collected by the attorney at a later time. You're only going to owe this. And once they hit continue, they're taken into basically their essentials plan, just like if they had gone straight to the essentials plan. But the other nice thing this does is, not to get off on too much of a tangent, if they select either of the trust plans, it asks them additional questions in the interview, what we're calling financial questions. So it asks them about their assets and it provides that information to you, the attorney. So it's like you're starting the meeting with knowing what their financials are, asks about their retirement accounts, cash accounts, income, liabilities, debts, annuities, everything that you would normally collect on the personal information form. So it does ask those additional questions if they select one of these trust plans, so that at least you have that information if you're doing a funding table or something like that.
Yeah, it also gives you the insight for the upselling too, as Britt said. You know, you could say,
Right.
hey, you know, I noticed you did a simple plan, but you've got $2 million.
Right.
There's a lot of other risk here, and that's what you really turn into that conversation. The key thing here, I hope you're all seeing, is this is doing your work for you. The more you can get them to use Guidr, the more you can get them to enter data, the simpler your life in the law firm becomes, because you don't have to collect that data. You don't have to follow up on that data. You just need to read and interpret that data, and then you have it when you meet with them to know how to counsel them on whether their planning is sufficient.
Okay. So Julia, just making sure your questions are answered.
I think
And the one thing that she still had was about, you know, how does it make them call the attorney? How does it get them in the office? So that's actually operationally on your end, Julie. So you'll have a notification that says somebody has requested an irrevocable trust, and basically start your traditional reach out to them and say, hi, I see, you know, you've done your essentials plan on Guidr. We'd like to schedule you for your whatever it is. Maybe it's a design meeting, signing meeting. Let's talk about these last 2 questions we need answered. You could have save it and do 1 meeting with them and have it all signed. Like Dave said, you have most of the answers. It is actually the firm reaching out to schedule that meeting right now.
And
So
I think,
that's-
Julie, the other point is, if somebody doesn't elect an in-office signing, I think that's another question.
Yeah.
You can't get them to come in. That's when your marketing has to start now. You put them in you create a new marketing follow-up strategy, saying, look, I noticed you did your will. I'm concerned if you did it properly. If you didn't execute it properly, it won't work when you need it to. We'd love to help you, do the execution and review it with you in the office, kind of thing. So you can start to, like I said, I'm seeing Guidr as your marketing tool. It's really a lead
Yeah.
generator, and then you just start working them from there to get them up.
I think that explained it. I think that was I was thinking people could just be online and we wouldn't know it. But what you're saying, Britt, is we get a notification for every
yeah.
single person that comes in. So then we know to contact them. That answers my question, because that was my concern, is they wouldn't even know, people don't always click on those little question marks to get the details. So that answered it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Good.
And Julie, actually, it's twofold. You'll get whomever you deem appropriate within your dashboard who gets email notifications. So
Okay.
email notifications go out, plus you should have a central person that's logging into the dashboard on a daily basis to see activity as well.
Great. Thanks.
Okay, so
Tom Olfenson asked about how much stays with Guidr, the 227. Remember, you
That's a-
set the fee of 227. Has that been answered?
Yeah, Britt just answered it. She said
Oh.
he wanted to know how much of the 227 does Guidr get. It's different from state to state. It's in the details when you're working with everything with Tom. It's a processing fee.
And I can circulate the fee schedule for whatever state you're in. I know, Tom, where you are, so I can send that to you. But yeah, that's the answer on that one. I said to Sabrina, is funding an add-on? I said not yet. So it is not an add-on in Guidr right now.
Mike Goss did submit something. What motivates someone who has already created an online will to ask for information on an upgrade?
I think Dave addressed that maybe while I was sharing screen. I was a little bit doing, only 70% paying attention. So Dave, didn't you say what motivates somebody? Is that's your job as the attorney to show
Yeah,
them?
I was actually reading someone else's post while Amanda was reading that. So what was the question?
That about the what motivates somebody who had already what motivates someone who has already created an online will to ask for info on an upgrade? They won't ask.
Yeah, I think I said that they're not generally going to even know to do that. That's our job, to make them aware. And again, that's why I say, I think one of the things I learned from this, and something, I'm going to put on a list to add into the system at some point down the road, is that I think what we'll do is my goal ultimately is to have the estate plan advisor to be a cost, whether it's $29, $49, just something for them to pay for that. And then give it to them free if they did a will plan or something. But that's something I'm thinking about down the road when it gets a little more robust and produces an actual report for them. But at the end of the day, again, if we look at Guidr as a marketing tool, if we look at Guidr as a lead generator, what Guidr is doing is giving us data and information on clients. Now clients, not just prospects, or prospects if they don't ever click the OK box, because remember, they can go all the way through and design and develop it all without paying. So we actually have everything that they do online, you will have access to. So the more information they have entered, the more information you have in marketing and getting them to come back in. So to me, again, if we rethink this as Guidr being a marketing and lead generation tool, I think it makes more sense to us that this is the starting point, not the ending point.
Great. All right, so we have 5 minutes left to be respectful of everyone's time. Any questions? I know I can't thank everyone enough for utilizing the chat feature and great conversation today and the engagement. And for those of you that shared your perspective on Guidr and your mindset, thank you so much. It's
One
great.
comment,
Adds to the
Lisa, someone asked a
conversation.
question about is funding an add-on, and Britt replied, not yet. So I think Britt replied from the concept of, is Guidr funding an add-on? Funding is absolutely always an add-on or an upsell to you in the law firm. So always remember that, you know, if somebody doesn't trust, you could always say, hey, do you want us to do your funding? Now, remember, in your plan, when they're paying the 7,500, you're doing all of that stuff. In the commodity market, people are choosing what they want to pay for. It's kind of like if you go buy a car on the lot, a Lincoln or a Cadillac, it's got all the options. But if you're a little more frugal, you go to the car and you say, well, do I want a power sunroof? No. Do I want power windows? Yes. Right. So you pick and choose those options. That's how the commodity world works. And you got to reprogram your brain to think, okay, you're starting at the lowest and then constantly give them options to add on, just like when you go to that car dealer and start adding on options. And then they choose what they are willing to pay for extra.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Final questions, comments? Britt, Dave, thank you for your wrap up. I can't express enough. Jumping all the way back to the beginning, marketing. If you have questions about marketing, please reach out to us. If you're going to do it yourself, please make sure you have a intentional plan for marketing. Don't just throw it up on your website and see what happens. Have intentionality with it. And
the only other thing I want to say is Keela Nakasaka, I want to play pool. I hope that, look at that, there's a bar in there. I don't know where that is, but I want to be there. It looks really fun.
That's probably a Zoom picture.
Oh.
But yeah. So thank you everyone for the participation today. As always, this is a once a month discussion. We encourage participation. You can always reach out to us at any time using the help desk. However, we always encourage you to come to these meetings and discussions and share your successes and your frustrations, and let's work through it all together. Thank you again, and everyone have a wonderful day.